your children to do what? Home. That's the key word. Parenting is preparing them to do what? In other words, they must left the group. This is the only lefting the group you don't feel bad. It is emotional, yes, but if you've done your work well, just say it is time and they need to go. And parents, let me tell you, you might think that you still have a lot of time. I don't even know what the oldest child in this group, about 15 years? Okay, last born. Okay? You heard about our children. Our son turned 28. And let me tell you, when he left home, he even left being a Kenyan. He's now a German citizen. And you know what? Somebody asked, do you have dual citizenship? I said, no, Germany, the law doesn't allow you to be a dual citizen. He had to give up his Kenyan citizenship. And you know what he said? Who cares about being Kenyan? Especially at this time. You know, there's too much drama in our country, isn't it? And you know, this world, the truth is, there's only two things that are running this world. It's either chaos or order. Me, I like order. I don't know about you. And if I was to step into a country like Germany where there is order, in fact, we went visiting one time before our son was born, and the couple who were visiting, there was a Kenyan lady married to a German. She said, this country is too orderly. They can even organize you into your bedroom. And true enough, you know, the time, things run with time. You have temperature there, you have trams, you live. Too much order. So our son decided he likes the order. I would have chosen the same. What am I saying? I remember the day he was born like it was yesterday. In fact, I remember when our son was born, I was actually, it was a CS. My wife tried and they tried to induce, they tried everything they can, and then I was told, just go home, nothing's happening. Then I went home and I was sleeping and I was in deep sleep. Those days there were no mobiles. And all of the gate being banged, I thought it was a nightmare, only for me to realize, whoa, somebody's calling. And I got out, put on my overcoat, went out. It was my brother-in-law. He lived in the neighborhood in Golden Gate, South B. And the hospital had called him and said there was an emergency. So he came to tell me. And I said, oh, okay, because that's the number we had left. He was the only guy who had a landline we knew. So I said, okay, so I dress up, we go. Do you know what he told me? No, that's your responsibility. It actually dawned on me. So I dressed up. We had a visiting friend from Germany. We went to hospital, and as I'm arriving into hospital, I'm being told, congratulations, you have a son. And I'm thinking, how, what, why, when? You know, I'm still waking up. Then they take me to the where they put the baby in the incubator, and something phenomenal happened, guys. I walked in, and our son, as soon as I walked into the room, he turned. I thought I'm the only person who ever saw that. Years later, there's a nurse called Lucy from Nairobi Hospital. We now go to the same church. She tells me she was there. She saw. Connection. Fast forward. He's been to school. He's been to kindergarten. He's gone to primary. Now, the boy has found himself a school in Germany. In fact, he was called to JKUAT. He didn't like it. He didn't like the chaos. Coming from Strathmore School, he went there for and then he was told, by the way, you know, there's opportunities in Germany, education, He learned German in 6 months. And quickly he came and told us, I found a school and I'm leaving, I'm going. Wow. And then time comes, the airport, we're escorting him. He's got his backpack, he's got his suitcase, and now he's just saying his final words. And then he goes and he turns to me and says, Dad, so tell me, what are you going to be doing now that I'm gone? We were close like that. We rode bikes together, we played music together. We did a lot together. And he asked me, are you going to spend a lot of time in the club? I said, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. That time is so short, parents. If your oldest here is 15, how much more time do you have? How much? It's very quiet. It's sobering, eh? You have 3 years. I'll tell you why. The moment they turn 18 now, the first thing they do is go get what? An ID. And if you are not friends with them, they will not return home the day they leave. True story. When our second born, our daughter, was turning 18, a lot of her friends in Form 4 were turning 18. And they would go do birthday parties together. And you know what some of the girls were saying? I can't wait to leave home. The day I do, I will not come back. Yeah, I like that. What? But that's what they're doing. So parenting is preparing them to leave home. Now, reality dawned on me when our third born left. She's now in Germany. She just went a few months ago. And maybe because it's a daughter. And you know, fathers and daughters, and mothers and sons, you know, mothers and sons, they call that what, the Electra complex, and fathers and daughters, Oedipus. It's such a tight bond psychologically. It hadn't hit me. One day I am coming into the house, and you know her room, you go upstairs, her room was right there. Either the door was shut, that she's there, and I know she'll come out, but this time it's 2 days, she's gone, the door isn't going to open for her. And I walked up, and that hit me. I went into our room, came back down, went into the kitchen. And I'll tell you, parents, something hit me there in the kitchen. I honestly sobbed. I sobbed like somebody has died. And I just kept saying, God, thank you for Neema's life. She's called Neema. I just sobbed. And it's so, apart from preparing your children to leave home, I think now, Nyambura, I need to start teaching about the parent preparing for the children to leave home. Because our kids have left home, and those ones that have left, and we thank God that they are doing well. You heard that we have a grandson. Our son's a mechanical engineer. He's German citizen. And he's doing well. We went to visit him in school after he'd graduated. And in Germany, he took us around. We'd never been when he was there. And took us around, and at some point took us to the dining. And at the dining, he told us, you know, I never used to spend a lot of time here. But there's a lady elderly who stopped him, and they were conversing in German. And so he was translating. And we're asking him, what is she saying? And she's saying, are you the parents? Yes, we are. And then, then you just need to tell them that you've raised a nice boy. That was so touching. Imagine, we had prepared to leave home. Notice the word live is L-E-A-V-E, not L-I-V-E. Now, sadly, many parents, instead of preparing the children for the world, they prepare the world for their children. Oh, I want to amass wealth so that when my children come, they'll be okay. Some of us are spoiling our children in the name of, I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up. Why are you sparing them hard life? Shida yetu, we just want soft life. Kila mtu. In fact, the other day, our children went to the dentist and they were getting braces. And we noticed many children are now getting braces. And we asked the dentist, what is happening? You know what he told us? Soft life. Our children cannot eat sugar cane. Ameitoa. You have to cut it in pieces. And you have to remove the joints. That's where the juice is nice. Soft life. We're preparing them for soft life. But what happens when they arrive into the world? Do they find soft life? Huh? Do you find soft life yourself? Let me tell you, in fact, the world is getting tougher and tougher. I remember my dad telling me a story that when he was looking for a job, he would just walk down the street in Nairobi. And there are people who used to stand outside their shops and ask, do you want a job? And you say, and walk by. Today, what happens when you're looking for a job? Many people apply. The world is just getting tougher and tougher. It's getting more competitive. Whatever gift, whatever area you are in. Soccer is getting too competitive. Science is getting competitive. In fact, the world is becoming so unpredictable. So many jobs are going to be taken over by AI. Hello? Hello? We never thought of that, but it's happening. But we need to prepare them so that within themselves they have fortitude. I'll be talking about the 4 P's of parenting and 5th P, and I'll begin with the first one, which is presence. The second one is provision. Then the third one is protection. One is praise, and the 5th is purpose. So that's what I'll be addressing. The 4 P's of parenting and the 5th P. Maybe I should just give some little background about how I came up with this. I was invited by a church to come and talk about parenting. And the lady who invited me, I think, lived in the same neighborhood. So she probably thought I know something about parenting. And I had 3 P's, and I added one more. And then, out of conviction, I had the 5th P, and I call it the 5th P. One day I was speaking in Mombasa at a church in Mombasa Sitam. In between the 2 services, one child came up and tapped me and said, "Why don't you just say 5 P's of parenting?" and I said, there's a reason why the 5th P is by itself and the 4 P's. So let me go and first begin with a quote. This quote is by a famous man, Steve Covey, who's written the book 7 Effective People, Fame, and the 8th Habit. This is what Steve Covey says, and I really like this quote, that the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priority. Are we together? The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Sadly, just come up with schedules, but they're not even full of your priorities. We need to know your priorities. I learned early on in life is simple. What are my priorities? God, business, then others. In fact, ministry falls under others. Because people, we've seen pastors' kids totally messed because the pastor did not prioritize his family. And the children resent it. In fact, when they grow up, they say, I've never had a pastor. Pastor never had time, dad never had time for me. Guys, our priorities. Prioritize your job. It's gone quiet, eh? Because you're thinking, how will I make money to bring up? It's important. But please prioritize your family. Don't prioritize your friends. You think your friends, you're worth much to your friends. You wait until you're broke or you're in a need. Have you ever been in a need? You sent WhatsApp and nobody responded. There's a time in our life when my wife and I resigned our jobs on principle. We were not working. That's when you realize how many friends you have. So the 4 of parenting, I'll begin with the first one, which is presence, okay? And presence, let me first begin by speaking about presence. Because I'll tell you, one of the things you can ever do is create God's divine as a priority. I was happy to hear and to read in your website that this is a school. I thought my job is easy. Sometimes when I go to talk and I have to talk to people in another language, it's difficult. Prioritize presence. Sadly, today we are not prioritizing. When we wake up, what's the first thing we do when we Sijasema kitu. Mimi sijasema. But it's true. The first thing you do is phone. And when you check the phone, and some people give me an excuse because my alarm is there. I agree. I don't refuse. But after that, what do you do next? Huh? Messages. WhatsApp. Before you know it, umeingia X. Huh? And then you're late for work. You're the people who harass us on the roads. You should have left early. Ungetoka jana. But let me tell you, parents, let's prioritize God's presence. It doesn't necessarily have to be very long, but it does help to just wake up. I remember a guy who I housed for a very brief time because his house was locked. He would wake up, he turns this way, his feet touch the ground, and he starts talking to God, saying, God, I really thank you. I thank you that I can breathe. I thank you that I've woken up. I thank you that I have hands. I thank you that I have eyes to see. I thank you I have ears. Do you ever thank God for those, or we take it for granted? Until the day you're hospitalized, you start realizing, wow, how I take things for granted. But if we can do that on a daily basis, I thank you that I'm still living in this house. It's not a right. I thank you for the car that I have, the things I do. I thank you. And I thank you for the day. I don't even know what this day has in store, but I know you, God. And you hold the future in your hands. God's presence. And then, even as you're driving your children to school, how do you cultivate God's presence where you are? Some of us are listening to Mwalimu Kingangi and Churchill. And you think it's entertaining, but it's not, it's damaging. Do you know what those people are paid to do? I once met Caroline Mutoko, and she was seated in my brother's office, and you know what she confessed and said? She confessed and said, I am paid to talk trash. At that time, you know where she lives? She lives in Roslyn. Those Gigiri areas. Big house. We've been to her house. And she said she's paid to do what? So trash in, trash out. Garbage in. But we can cultivate God's presence. Our children have listened to gospel every day we take them to school. And one time one of the kids confessed and said during the school lessons, she can do those songs within herself. Cultivating God's presence. Saying that we'll have prayer time together as a family. We have family meetings as a family, and we rotate our duties. Every morning as we leave the house, we rotate our prayer duties. And it's just a simple prayer. God, we're leaving the house, we're committing this to you. I pray for so-and-so, I pray for so-and-so, pray for so. Even the house help and her family. Our last-born daughter would even pray for the dog, Prince. It's a sad thing he passed away in December. It was very emotional, by the way. 15 years you've been with a dog. It's part of the family. Our last-born would even pray for Prince, and then would leave. Cultivating God's presence. And I can tell you, I can go on and on speaking about this divine presence. Because it's priority number one. The key is to schedule your priorities. The second thing is the daily physical presence. Daily physical presence. Daily physical presence. Do you make it a priority that you're daily physically present? And when you're there physically, be present totally. There's a time I would come home early, but I have my laptop, and my wife said to me, you're here, but you're not here. This is some of us. You know, you've been driving now, you get out of the car, reach home. Hi, mommy. You're there, but you're not there. What are you communicating to the child? This is more important than you are. But how about we put aside our gadgets? And how about we engage with the child? In fact, you know what us guys have done? We have picked and dropped our children all the years. You know how many years? Do you know how many years right now? 25 years. It's gone quiet. And I still have 3 years because our daughter, 15. As soon as she becomes 18, she'll pick an the next thing is driving, and she's gone. And I'll tell you, our last born daughter, in fact, one day I said, and I told my wife, this girl is high maintenance. And my wife was almost annoyed. And I said, it's true. You know why? We pick her, we drop her. She trains for swimming every day. Every day. And then Tuesday and Thursday in the evening, she goes to the gym. High maintenance. Meaning is not cheap. Then, today, tomorrow she's singing in church. She's been taken by my wife. Then my wife will take her straight to church. Leave her there, come home. Now, thank God she can take an Uber because someone would have had to go for her. Then when she's ready, she'll take an Uber and come home. But it's costing us money, even the petrol going and coming. High maintenance. No, her, she doesn't have soft life. Thank you. She does not have soft life. As a last born, do you think that pool is warm? Do you know what time she swims? Huh? Sorry? She swims at 5 a.m. We leave the house at 4:30. 4:45, they've arrived. She's telling them things. Then they say they're doing warm-up. It's not warm-up, it's cold up. And then they swim. And they will swim and swim and swim. 6:45, she will come to the car. She sits back left, her breakfast is there. In fact, she doesn't take tea and whatever. She takes food. So she'll eat food, she's behind there. And me, I'm just here. I've been awake since 4. I've been taking her everywhere. And I can smell the food. Daily physical presence. But let me tell you, parents, that bonding, that thing has created a bond between our lastborn and I. We're tight. We're so tight with our son. Our son calls us all the time. Although he reminded us that he's no longer nuclear. We said it's okay because we used to football with him. Then when he got married, he said, I had to ask him, I said, David, are we watching the match? He said, you know, you guys, you're forgetting. I'm no longer a nuclear family. Ouch. Our second born daughter is a lawyer. In fact, she graduated in law, and while by the time she was at CPA 5. Then she went to KSL and stopped the CPA. Finished KSL. Any lawyer in the house? Can I see any lawyer? Oh, you're a lawyer. I had a feeling. Well, you know what? She got her 9 Ps straight, KSL. Then went back to do her CPA. Now she's got CPA. Focus. Yet, that girl is 25. We're tight. I can tell her, take me out somewhere. Last week she was going to Machakos to do some work. She said, Dad, will you come? Such an honor. Why? Daily physical presence as a priority. When you pick those children from school, you can see how a child is. Sometimes a child is just in tears. You can tell they've had a bad day. Then you look for an opportune time to have conversation. And the conversation comes out. I always ask myself, if you're not there, who does the child talk to? And we wonder why our children are having depression. The other day, my wife was walking around the estate and she could hear some conversation, a house manager and a child. Bye. I'll miss you, I'll miss you. It's okay for the house manager, but where's mom? Where's dad? Where are you? Physical presence. Priority. Mamas, we need to cut those chama events. There are too many. You even have a dress code. Black on denim. And the kids don't even have good clothes. Hata hujasign diary. You guys have diaries morning. Hata hujasign diary because you're not there. It is a sad story. It's getting sad. And you think what you're doing out there. Chama. Oh, choir. Oh, this. Oh, no. Even for men, it's even worse. Because men were not taught that way. I rarely saw my father at home. Early days, he was there. Then all of a sudden, he had a traveling job as a sales guy, and he was not there. I had a saying from my brothers in Central. Any brothers from Central? Don't raise your hand. Just hear what I'll say. This is what I had. I had them saying that Mishiti ago tido neago komo. You've heard that saying? Hard saying. Now, for those who did not understand tongues, let me translate. That homes are for chilling, they're only for sleeping. Then our Kikuyu men, Central men, they come home late only to sleep. Do you have connection with your children? No wonder I have seen people called Samuel Njeri as the surname. He feels nothing for his father. I've even had some feeling nothing about their father's death. Some didn't even attend. No, I'm serious. You know, parents, you reap what you sow. Galatians 6. You sow presence into their life. What will they do? They will sow into you. You will reap that. They will care for you. The children just love us being around. In fact, they come out, they go out, they play, they come back and say, oh, Dad, you're still there. And they go out. And such children have their parents' presence, have such confidence in life. One day a teacher called us in and he was trying to rebuke us because our son was overconfident. He thought we've spoiled him. Only for him to be told by the principal, that is so-and-so's son. They're always there for the boy. I can say a lot about this. Let me move on to the second P, which is provision. First one was? You still remember? Divine presence and physical presence as a priority. Now, provision. Top on priority is providing for spiritual bread. Most of us are good about this other daily bread, chakula. We can buy, borrow, steal, or even just do crazy things and justify and say, for my family. How about spiritual bread? Do we even provide for them spiritual bread? Are we keen on that, or have we left that duty to the church or the religious teacher? Remember, you're a three-part being. You're a spirit, you have a soul, you live in a body. You're a spirit, you have a soul, and you live in a... We are so good at taking care of our bodies. Tunaenda gym, jogging, 10,000 steps a day, salon, nguo mzuri, viatu mzuri. We put in a lot of resources there. One day we did an exercise with parents and we told them, write that spirit, soul, body in columns and your resources of money, time, and see how much you put into each. The spiritual, si umeona hata wengine hawaamki kuomba. Spiritual things, do we take our children for those camps at church and whatever? We need to invest in that. Do we have spiritual books? Those bedtime stories that are building them, we need to invest in that. The soul, we're investing in a lot, because your soul is your mind, your emotions. We educate ourselves. We chill with Netflix. You know, our soul is okay. The spirit person, we need to. Then the other, daily physical bread, I won't even touch on, because that I am sure you do. The third P is protection. Let me talk about protection. Very, very key. And I will begin by saying we need to deliver them from evil. Evil has gone a notch high in the world today. In fact, we're being told we're in the last of the last days. The signs are there, I know. And in any case, even if Jesus doesn't come back yet, we will go home. Hello. And none of us knows when. It can happen too soon. In fact, of late, I think it's happening too soon. Evil, we're even told in the Bible that unless those days are shortened, Matthew 25, even the very elect, even pastors na mareverend hawataokoka. Evil is rising. Evil is on the screens. Evil is everywhere. We must deliver our children. And you must be physically present so that you can see and intervene. Otherwise, if you're not, you'll never know. Hello? Parents, am I saying anything? Yes. Really? And sometimes you have to make radical decisions. There was a place I was speaking and telling someone, you do not need to host a relative from Shags. Not when you have beautiful daughters and he's a man. Hello? You think it's a relative and you're leaving this boy with your girls at home. David in the Bible did not take care of one of his daughters, Tamar. She was raped by the brother-in-law. And you know what? David was part of the plot. He was in the plot because he was told that, hey, this guy, Jonadab, was talking to his friend and said, listen, you'll tell your dad you're sick and then you want your sister to come and cook for you and the food will be brought to your room. David should have said Shindwe. Or is it Shindwe Mfululizo? I like that one. I had that one recently. Protect the girl. Protection. I remember my dad warning me about some company I kept. He told me, I don't like that guy you're working with. And you know what happened? That guy today is in Isili pushing a cart and high on drugs. I could have been that. Protection. Protection. The next P is protecting their dreams and goals. But I'd like to, for start, do you even know what dreams they have, or do you shut their dreams when they are talking and say, wait, keep quiet, you're dreaming too much? Or do you encourage those dreams? Do you know their goals? Do you help them set up those goals? Every beginning of the year as a family, we do a session of dreams and goals. And I used to do this in corporate, then I figured, hey, how come I'm not doing it for my house? Then I started. And then our son left the country and went to Germany. And November that year, he said, Dad, please remind me, what was the other goal? I have this. And I said, David, you're doing your goals in November. You're becoming German too fast. And I'll tell you what those goals do. You don't have to push your kids to achieve. They will achieve by themselves. Because when a child sits down at the beginning of the year and says, I need to push my goal of Kiswahili from 70 to 80, you don't need to push them. I was telling you about Joy, who's a swimmer, you know, and they even now look for resources to make sure their goals are in order. Joy was picked up by the Kenya swimming team. She's in Kenya team now. That picking and dropping has paid off. Made us so proud. Last night, And I was preparing for this, prepared, went down. I took dishes back to the kitchen to be clean, walked up, and found that she had taken command of the TV center, the family room. And sometimes don't walk in and say, no, wenda ukalali osoma. No, it's good to find out what is she watching. And do you know what she put on TV? A swimmer called Michael Phelps. Please go and look for Michael Phelps and his story. And that story was so nice. Eventually, even how Michael Phelps kept falling, being caught drinking under influence, or driving under influence of alcohol and falling. And this is what she commented and said, you know, the press are highlighting this guy like he's not a normal human being. Anyone can make a mistake. And we had conversation. What am I saying? She was putting a clip that will motivate her to be a better swimmer. Why? Goals. So please help them set goals and to learn how to set goals early. Are we together? Because you will be protecting their life and their pursuits of life. So the fourth P, praise. And I'll just say, for starters, praise the children. Now, praise is defined in the dictionary as words of affirmation, approval, just showing acceptance. Please praise the children. And here's what I usually say. When it comes to praise, look for publicity. Dr. John Maxwell says this, that you praise in public, you rebuke in private. I don't praise people when they're alone. I wait for a group, a gathering. Even in my office, then I say, wow, so-and-so, you did 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what it does to them? They feel affirmed. But when it comes to correction, you know what I do? I say, Joy, I'd like to see you. And she knows, what have I done? In fact, if I call her the 3 names, Joy, Mwende, Bindio, she's like, you know, it's tough. So we praise the children. And finally, we praise God. Like I said, in the morning when you wake up, you're thanking God for certain things. For starters, me, I praise God I have children. There are people who have tried. Hello? They've tried and they can't get. And you, thank God you have children and they're coming to Pearl Hearts. It's a nice school. Hello? So you praise God for everything and teach the children the same way. Because you do not want people to live up with a sense of entitlement in life. And then finally the 5th P, which is purpose. And why I call it the 5th P by itself, because this is perhaps the greatest of them all. Purpose. Purpose. Purpose here on earth. Okay? Rick Warren, in his book, Purpose Driven Life, encourage, if you haven't read it, read it. And please read it with someone and do the study. This is what he asks. What on earth are you here for? Just turn to your neighbor and look at them. Don't say anything. Just look at them. You know, some people on earth are just consumers. They're just trouble. They're trouble. The phone rings, see their name, and you're thinking, how much? Because all they'll do is ask you for M-Pesa, isn't it? They probably haven't discovered much about their purpose on earth, and it's important for you to discover what your purpose is. Yes, your purpose is apparent, but more so what's your purpose here on earth? Because let me tell you also, the children will come and go. And if you've not been balancing that parenting, what I do when I'm at home, I build a lot of my gifts. And I'm a busy person. My children are not what make me busy alone. I work it together. When I drop Joy for swimming, I go out and work out. I walk. And I walk with dumbbells. I come back and I stretch. And many parents used to come and park their cars and they have blankets in the morning. One of them looked at me and I've come back, I'm so energized. And she asked me, wow, you're so diligent. And she had excuses, it's cold, I can't walk. Eventually she joined me. Another one joined me. And now we've become a fitness club. And we are fit. In fact, I'm more fit than I was in many years. Purpose. When I'm at home and I drop the kids, I don't take off. Now it's only one. I drop, I go in, I play the saxophone. And I have a small window to practice because you can only play when they are polishing shoes, doing other things, because you can be noisy. And then I know that window is closed. Then I read, I do other things. I do my gifts, my talents, I polish them because I know my purpose on earth. So what on earth are you here for? And I'm big on that, on discovering purpose. If you wish, we can talk about that. Because it's not even where you are employed, by the way. Some of us are working in the wrong jobs. True or not true? You just ended up there. You don't even know how. But your passion is not even that. Given a choice, you have another passion. And that's what should be even later on. Whatever you can even do for free. So the purpose of parenting, my wife modified James Dobson's quote. And she said, parenting is preparing your children to leave home for eternity. Because the saddest thing is for when they leave, are you sure you will ever meet them in heaven? It is better that you invest and meet them in heaven. I've put all that in my book, The 4 P's of Parenting. That is the cover of the book. The book has been forwarded by Reverend Ambrose Nyang'ao, Parklands Baptist. Anyone from Parklands Baptist here? Okay. We know people. Your senior pastor forwarded the book. And Anzaya Katza, who's written the manual. This manual here is called U-Turn. It's the manual we do for parenting and take people through parenting. You might think, me, parenting? Yes. We're always prepared for marriage and other things, but we've never been prepared for parenting as such. So he's forwarded. That there is something that looks like clouds, but not just clouds. That's a man's figure. You can see that. Dad, mom is there, and a baby looking up. Can you see that? Yeah, and then this is single parents raising up children. Because we do recognize that single parents have a role in children. You could have been single for whatever reason, but that doesn't exonerate you from raising great children. Some single parents have raised the greatest children I know. And parenting is a solo pursuit, whether you're both in the house or not. Okay, so the book is available out there. It's a nice book. In summary, the 4 P's of parenting and the 5th P. The first one was? The second one? You're sure? Okay, provision. The third one? The fourth one? The 5th one? Mwalimu, you're okay. Well, your parents are okay. So their children are also okay. Yeah. Okay, and parenting is preparing your children to leave home and for eternity. I'd like to read this poem, or is it poem? Is Pearl Hart's group of schools, children come to a group of schools or they are in a group when they come here? Pearl Hart's is where? You're a group of schools, eh? So it's not poem, it's poem. Are we together? Poem. And please, parents, you know what? Google, when you're asking for definitions, has a way that it pronounces for you in case you don't know. Are we together? I thought I should throw that for free. You know, just so that you don't say things in a group of school and people are looking at you badly. So I'll read this poem. The poem is called The Dash. The Dash by Ellis. Of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said, what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time on earth that she spent alive on earth. And now, Only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you would like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way others feel and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud about how you spent your dash? Friends, time flies. That dash is so small, very small. And you can, in fact, a lot of times and that's why we're told in the book of Ecclesiastes 7:2, that it's better to go to the house of mourning than a house of party. You know, when you go to a house of mourning, what happens? Unajitenga mkutano, isn't it? Because you think, will they say the same about me? And that is better than being in a party. So may God help us all, parents, that from today on we shall live with such purpose for our children. We shall be present for them, knowing that we don't know how that dash will last. And not just for them, for everyone. For school, when you come, some people think because I paid so much fees, I can't teach us the way I want. Your parents don't do that. Eh? They are nice. Eh? Or the ones who do that didn't come. Them, they didn't come. They even thought, wanatuita mkutano ya nini. I've been present in all meetings, most meetings in school. Let's be nice to each other. Let's make the world a better place. And you know why we're also doing this as parents? There is a huge, 2 quotes I'll finish on parenting. The first one is monkey see, monkey do. Our kids ape us a lot. Our second born on a pram, and our son was very young, and we'd walk in the estates and there were gates, and we would greet the watchman and say, "Habari boss." One time our son passed and said, "Habari boss." Monkey see, monkey do. And it's both good and bad habits. You want your children to read, guess what you should do? Some of us, when you're doing your degree or your master's, was the last time you read. And you're telling them, read, and you're busy watching series on Netflix. No. My kids, when they're going to the salon, the girls, they carry books, even a laptop. And this is Joy. We carry books in our car. We're always reading. In fact, we're always encouraging each other with books. My daughter who was in law school recommended to very good books. Our son took reading to another level. Now, not only does he read books, he summarizes what he has read afterwards and puts it on a Google Doc that is accessible by the family. I said, I'm not sure I can do that, David. Let me just read. So I read books as much as possible. I'm in school even now. At 58 years of age, I'm in school. And I will still look for something else to read. Monkeys. Our son said he'll never stop reading because the world is competitive. He did his degree, he did a master's, And now he was studying on project management and he's reading something else. For our daughter, we tell her, take a break. You need a life also. You've done degree, CPA, and KSL. Take a little break. The other quote that I want to share is that parenting is caught more than it is taught. If you want your children to be punctual, they must see you punctual. You want them to read, they must see you reading. You want them to be courteous, they must see you courteous. There was a time Pastor Ambrose's wife, Martha, had a church and called our son. And then Caleb is Pastor Ambrose's son, and said, come for the meeting. Our son arrived, they found him there. We're actually neighbors. Pastor Ambrose was across my house. They found him there. And Caleb's mother was like, hey, David, you're before time. You know what he said? I'm my father's son. You missed a chance to say, oh. I honestly felt so validated. Can you? He said, I'm my father's son. So I think we need to stretch. Can we stretch a little? We stand up and stretch, and then we can take the next session. Is that right? Sharon, I think you did so well in making people. You can make them stretch, or you want to use the bathroom? We can do 5 minutes. Is that okay? Okay, 5 minutes, then we come back. And I'll Hello, hello, check, check, check. Welcome back. It's like a small break, eh? A nice breather. My sound is off, eh? Is it on? Yeah. I think the volume it's muted. So, Paki, which service? Oh. Are you teaching or you have a small one, eh? You go to the crane. Oh. Okay. Yeah, it will it passes quickly. Yeah. Okay, check. We are back. Let's settle back. So, did we get anything out of the first session? I will say something where that's concerned. This is just years of our parenting that we have shared. And I can almost guarantee that when you do your part, the children turn out well. And let me tell you, you'd better do your part. Then you will enjoy. You will enjoy, you'll have peace later on. In fact, we're told in Proverbs 29:17, discipline your children while there is hope. Then you'll have peace afterwards. When is there hope? Right now when they are small, you tell them anything, they say, yes, mom, yes, dad. You wait until they become older. Hello, if you hadn't done your work. I remember one time, my son, I could deal with him. He was a handful. You know those active kids that you would be, David, David, David. Then one time, I walked downstairs and he's in his bathroom. He doesn't have a shirt on. He's looking at himself. And he said, Dad, I've bathed. I said, yeah, you're bathed. And I was happy I dealt with him when he was like that, isn't it? Because later on, do you think you can spunk them? You can embarrass yourself. And some parents have been very frustrated. I was called by someone the other day, and she said, we need help. Do you talk to parents of teenagers? I said, I do. As a matter of fact, I do parenting coaching on one-on-ones. And the person told me there's a mama who's crying because her teen. Wait until they become teenagers. So, question time. We'll talk about that. Don't fear. If you bring up your, they say, what do they say about the 2-year-olds? They're what? Terrible twos. But us guys turn them into terrific twos. They can be terrific. They can be nice. They can tidy up their own toys. They can do things. And when they get to teens, we say that they're elusive teens, but we turn our teens to be exclusive teens. Our teens are exclusive. I enjoy Joy's company. In fact, our children come into our room anytime. We have to make sure the door is locked. And sometimes we even tell them, come pray for us. We go into the bathroom, change into pajamas, come into bed. Say, pray for us, and then you lock the door. Because we made them exclusive children. And you know what? Even when they become adults, if you've done a good job, now adults, when they're adults, you know what it becomes? It's called reverse parenting. They're the ones who parent you. They look at you and say, Dad, you can't eat that cake. You're eating too much cake. You're overweight. So questions. Question 1 was asked, and I think you are sent a notice to send in questions. The first one was, what would be your recommendation of reconciling what is taught in school on sexuality age versus how parents address these conversations, given that different parents approach the. Now, the school has a curriculum which runs. I haven't kept much with it. I don't know when they teach that, but they have the curriculum. But I'd like to say, as far as teaching about sex, the parent, you're the first person port of call. And it will come according to, especially when bathing times, bathing the children, and you can be able to have a conversation at that time. And don't be afraid. Then the school helps us because they bring the logical part of it, and they bring some sense. But as far as balancing the two and what is proper information and distortion, the parent needs to be present. Because you don't know what they're being taught. Thank God you say your school is a Christian school. So are we together on that one? And there are people you can look online. I would like to recommend a gentleman called Ernest Mboye. Ernest? Oh, he's been here, has he? You know him, eh? Yeah, please look for him. He talks a lot about talking to your children about sex. And there's a book like that. So let me move to question 2. How do we deal with anger when dealing with a toddler? How do we deal with anger when dealing with a toddler? A toddler is what years? Huh? 5 years max, eh? 6, eh? 6. Anger, how do you deal with them? Should they be angry in the first place? You're buying them food, there's steamer, water, Wi-Fi. What are they angry for? But yes, they can be angry. They are human beings. Just like they can have moods, isn't it? They're not Barbie dolls. One day we took our son to the doctor and he said he's not a Barbie doll. Because, you know, we'd clothe the child. And the doctor said, are you feeling that cold? So their children, they have their moods. They can be angry. I think the first thing is to find out why you're angry. And then to let them express that anger in the right way to communicate. Because remember, deal with it as they're being a toddler. As they grow older, they will show their anger or vent wrongly. Have you ever seen an adult slam a door? Some of you are married to them. And you're wondering, alitoa wapi yo? When they were toddler, they were not taught how to express their anger in the right way. So we have to teach them. And a lot of times you have to call them back to action. A child slams a door. Nyambura Anzaya was telling us that his son would slam the door. You know what that man did? He unscrewed the door from the hinges. The room stayed empty without a door. Akasema, it's my house. You know, when a child goes stamping feet like this, call them and say, walk nicely. When I was young, and this time I was a teenager, my father once came and we lived in an apartment. My mom still stays there, first, second, third floor. And my dad, he didn't know presents. He knew provision. So he would drive down the hill, the apartment is here, and he hoot. Pepe, someone shows up, he gives the meat, and he takes off. So me, I was somewhere with some teenagers there, and acting cool. You know, you don't want to show teenagers dad as running. Talking to them. Then I decided, fine, now I'm going to go. You know that Katina is bounce, eh? You know what my dad told me when I got to the car? He said, do this. You go back there, you come back running. Where? So I was embarrassed, but that I was dealt with, showing honor where it's supposed to be. Can I move on to the next question? Similar, how should we handle our toddlers' tantrums and emotions? For me, tantrums are not allowed because you need to communicate. Tantrums are not allowed. You know, those stamping your feet or slamming doors or walking away. No. Say what you're saying nicely. That talking, I tell them speak English. I can't understand that language. have to tell them, listen, until you talk to me nicely, then we can have a conversation. Actually adjust to things. But here again, it doesn't mean we dismiss the emotions our children have. Please understand the emotions. Please welcome them, and this is how you do it. Make sure that they know it is safe to talk to mommy about anything. It is safe to express to mom or dad, I'm not happy, I'm sad. Are we together? How do you balance discipline and empathy? What is empathy? And we're not talking about sympathy. Sympathy is oye, oye. Empathy is knowing what they are going through, but knowing that they have to go through it. It looks like it's a bit tough, isn't it? Are we all okay here today? You have no issues in life. You have no challenges. So you have challenges. And why are you having challenges? Yet God is good. You know, the problem is even our churches never teach us about tough life. We're told, you know, you become a Christian, it's going to... And tough life shows up. But you know what that tough life is? It's called tough love. Tough love. God allows it on us so that we can be tough. Even our children. So empathy is, yes, understanding what they are going through, but just letting them walk with it, but just being side by side. You can't take away their pain. Hello? You can't take away their challenges. They have to go through them to be toughened in life. So you can discipline. Discipline is just setting rhythms in life. I like the military. I thought I would end up in the military. I honestly did. I was a Boy Scout. I went up to troop leader. I used to wear that uniform with a lot. I loved the bush. I loved Avunjas, and I knew I'd go to the military because of the discipline of military. But I didn't make it because of an injury. I love military, the discipline involved. The police, even over weekend, when a police guy sees his boss, do you know what he does? And he's in casuals. Anakauka. Until the boss passes. Discipline. Discipline is good. Waking up at the same time every day. Till your body doesn't need the alarm. Your tomorrow, 10, 11, the other day, it's 12. You're eating breakfast at 12. Your body is wondering, nini. It affects the circadian rhythms of life and can affect you. And I'm not downplaying those people who have different life schedules, but discipline in a child is critical. Sleep at the same time. They have to do certain things at the same time. You know how many hours they're supposed to sleep? How many? Mwalimu, the parents don't know. Huh? Hey, it's quiet. You guys don't know. Okay, you yourself as a parent, how many hours are you supposed to sleep? Can you please speak in English? You guys are speaking in tongues. Huh? How many hours are you supposed to sleep as an adult? Mwalimu, I'm waiting for 1 hour. I'm hearing 3. How many 7? How many 8? Majority. The eyes have it. True, it's supposed to be 8 hours, minimum 7 hours. But let me ask the next question. How many of us sleep 8 hours? Significantly dropped. I think there's just about... Huh? Why? She's saying anxiety. Why don't we sleep the 8 hours? Anakesha kila siku. Huh? No, when you're keshaing, that's a different thing. But how come we don't sleep 8 hours, parents? No, let's talk monkey do. And let me tell you something. If you're not doing 8 hours of sleep, do you know what good sleep does to you? Do you know? Huh? Story. I used to sleep 5 hours. I slept at 10 and I woke up at 3. Out of convictions. I would wake up at 3, do my prayers, and my prayers were not just at 5 minutes. Mine was like almost a church service. I would go in with my guitar, and then I would worship. I would take the Bible, read. Then now after my devotions, I go out and bike ride. I still exercise and do my bike rides. Until my children one day told me, Dad, they read an article of a guy who was 44 years, a CEO in India, very fit. He just collapsed and died. Turned out he was not sleeping well. When you're sleeping well, your body cells are repairing themselves. Your brain cells are repairing themselves. I used to, at around 4 p.m., my fuse was like this, anger. I used to have minor accidents every time. I'd be coming out of a junction, I didn't see the car, honestly. I didn't see, and I bash it. Not a lot. Yet I used to even read, but I wasn't reading well. But then I thought, and I had a conversation with God. I said, if I don't wake up that early, how will I spend time? He said, you do anything greater than dying on the cross. You realize it's a work of grace and not work. I started sleeping 6 hours. I added from the 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. Nowadays, I count on my finger when I'm going to sleep. But I at the same time. Now, because Joy and I have to leave at 4:30, I sleep at 8 o'clock. But because I'm in class, it ends at 8. I sleep at 8:30. I'm serious. I finish class. I walk out of class. I greet guys. I say, okay, fine, then go put my outfit for tomorrow while she's swimming. And 8:30, I'm in bed. That's 7. You remember Pavlov's dogs in biology. When you sleep and wake up at the same time, your body is conditioned. Please let us do that. But I'll tell you, here is why you do not sleep those 8 hours. Kwa sababu uko kwa TikTok. Enjoy the TikTok. Then that blue light, it does to you. It stimulates another hormone. In fact, that blue light is almost like dopamine. It's the same as cocaine. You're on a high, my friend. You think you sleep. You're on a high. You can't sleep. And then you know what you ate for dinner? High energy food. And then ukakunya chai na keki. Please. Your body is okay. It's okay. And then what happens if you don't sleep well? Small wonder, in this generation of ours, the cancer cases are too many. Obesity, we are struggling with obesity. But when you sleep well, your body doesn't feel bad. And so your body doesn't crave those mood foods. When you don't sleep well, your body feels bad. So, kitu ya kukufurahisha. KFC. Huh? Soda. Because it's nice. We even need to discipline our children on what they eat. You don't give them everything. You give them what's right food. Hello? Hey, Mwalimu, it's quiet. They absorb again. But let me be honest with you. I turned 58, 6th of June. Do I look like I'm 58? Except my white hair. And I can dye it, by the way, if I want. I think I like the way it is. I don't even feel 58. I play in the church with young guys. My band leader is my son's age. And that's who I hang around with. And they love my company. But I take myself. Kula 30%, 30, 30, a third. Na sio mingi. Some of us eat like there's no tomorrow. Even when you go for buffet, it doesn't mean you have to eat everything there. You choose, isn't it? And sometimes tell them little. I see Kenyans we waste a lot. Chakula imekela mtu anaenda nayo and then you won't even finish. May we train our children even, and you tell them pick the time you'll sleep, but you need so many hours. Eat the same time, sleep the same time, do things the same time. Military, they train you that way. To the point that if an enemy was to show up, you don't even think, how do I load this gun? It's in your system. You'll wake up and how you load it and how you clean it because you've been taught that way. That's discipline. And that's why we have discipline. We're together. And people who have such rhythms in life that go places in life. So, let's teach our children discipline. And when they're going through tough times, don't feel pity on them. Saying, my books are heavy. I even see parents, when we go to school and I park, there's a parent who comes out of the car, anaingia kwa boot, anachukulia mtoto bag, anamwekelea. Another one even walks to class. I'm not the one going to school. In fact, there's a time my child wasn't doing homework. I said, hey, I'm not the one going to school. And sometimes you have to let them go into the consequences of indiscipline. Yesterday was a good example. Set the alarm. We're supposed to go swimming. And I know while I wake up much earlier, then I would go down. I'm doing my devotions and I know. By the time I've done my Bible reading, she's come downstairs and it's time. So I'm doing my Bible reading. I heard her alarm and I had it off. And I didn't hear movement. And I had two choices. Either walk up and go and tell her, wake up, or to ignore. You can guess which one I chose. I ignored. And you know why I'm going to save on fuel. My economy. For real, because where she was going yesterday, School of Nations, is quite a distance. So I thought this is a good opportunity to teach her choices of consequences. So I sat, finished my Bible. I took it where it is. I got outside. Did I exercise? I was almost tempted to go back and sleep. I said, no, I'll still. I went, took my dumbbells, did rounds in the estate, hill 6 times up and down with dumbbells. And then did 2 rounds. Then went, picked my bike, did 2 more. And by the time I was coming up, I'm so energized and feeling good. She was getting up. And together with the mother, they had conversation. What happened? I wasn't party to their conversation. And she learned. Today, she didn't even need the alarm. She was awake and ready. Discipline. Discipline. Sometimes you have to let them go. Sometimes you don't have to push for their homework. Let them come to school and Mwalimu tells them, why didn't you do your homework? And Mwalimu punishes. The child will always do their homework. Teach them that consequences. How do you handle moments when you feel overwhelmed? I want to believe this is the parent feeling overwhelmed. And why are you overwhelmed? It's possibly because you're doing everything. You're the one who sits down with the child unafanya homework na rab. Apana, wrong. At the same time, you're coordinating how the house help is cooking. Apana, sijasema hivi auntie. Then you turn. And then if you're a woman, if you're the mother, then at night your husband wants you. My wife tells this a lot. He puts his hand in her own eye, you throw it out. Because you're overwhelmed. Must you be overwhelmed, mothers? Huh? Huh? But why are we overwhelmed? We are micromanaging. Mothers, listen to me. There's something called self-love. Did you ever see that clip that was going around of a mother in the US or wherever, Maju, in the kitchen enjoying ice cream? And she was saying, I'm just going to enjoy this. I don't care what's happening. And sometimes you have to reach there. Teach your kids to do things by themselves. All you just need to do is oversee. You know when to bring the diary to me, I will sign. Do you? Our son, one time when he was young, one day he came and sat and he's doing homework. Then he's asking me a question and then he's answering. Question. Then I said, wait a minute, this guy, I'm doing his homework for him. I said, David, why are you asking me all the questions? Oh, we haven't been taught. You know what I told him? I'm coming to your school to tell your teacher they're giving you homework, things they haven't taught you. He said, no. I taught him how to do content and read books. That's all. Let them do it. Enjoy your life. Hello. Don't be overwhelmed, eh? And please take care of yourself. Care. More and more we're seeing people going through tough things. Boundaries. Hello. Yeah. You even have to boundaries to your husband. Hello. And the other way around. You know, boundaries is when you tell people you don't talk to me. You don't treat me like that. You have to put boundaries to your employer. Otherwise, they'll give you even at 9, they'll call you. No, they'll call you at 9 in the night, but who has allowed it? Yourself. And you think you're being nice, you think you're irreplaceable. Boundaries, ladies and gentlemen, will avoid you from being overwhelmed. Me, they know, you don't call me. When I used to be employed, they knew you don't call me after hours. There was a time I had a boss that, and usually I would set that even at interview level. You know that question of tell us about yourself? I love that question. Because you ask me to tell you about me, then I would tell you how I pick my children, I drop them, I pick them, we go home. While they're doing homework, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, and there would be pin drop silence in the boardroom because people are wondering, who does that? One of my bosses during a sales managers conference, we had 16 branches and all the managers had come. And one of my boss stood up and said, some of you leave work at 4:30. I knew who she was talking about. I didn't need to guess, it was me. And I felt nothing. Months later, guess who was in hospital? Our boss. And we went to visit her with my wife because my wife had been to school with her. So we went and now she was here telling us, hey, from now I'm going to be picking my kids. You know that work-life balance is critical, guys. If you drop dead today, you think your company will close? Huh? Sorry? They'll? Yeah, Bob Collymore, when he died, did Safaricom have an issue? Did you have an issue sending M-Pesa? It still carried on. I used to work in Nairobi. It was bombed. Majority of people died. Years later, I was looking for a job, about a couple or so years, and I knew they needed, and I had done the job. Hey, I had institutional memory. Applied for the job. You think I got it? Guys had moved on kitambo. So please, people can move on. Take care of yourself. Self-love. Self-care. Sleep right. Tell the kids you're supposed to sleep at 8. So they can go and sleep and you, that 1 hour up to 9, you can do your things. You can chill with yourself. Are we together? Tell your employer, please don't call me after. But make sure time you're working, you put in the good work. So that when I'm off, I'm gone. They're saying, don't be overwhelmed. Today we are having people who have lost their mental network. Network iko congested. Mental health is becoming an issue because people are overwhelmed. You're seeing a lot of people talking to themselves. How do you encourage open communication in your home? For starters, do you even know which language you communicate in your home? And it must be based on love. Everything you do must be based on love. And you teach open courtesies, the please, the sorry, the thank you, may I have. You teach speaking in turns. It doesn't matter who. Even the little one has a say. You teach respect. You teach caring for each other. And as you do that in the home, the children care for each other. Our third-born daughter is in Germany because our son pushed for it. In fact, he said, Mom and Dad, whatever you pay, I will underwrite and match €1 for €1. Can you imagine? And he's the one who even would call the sister, have you applied? Have you done this? Have you gone? Why? Because out of communication, we've taught them how to look out for each other. So communication at home is important. People should not raise their voices to each other. People should speak in right tones. People should speak right. People should also speak at the right time. Hello. You know, there are people who speak out of time and it brings issues. Nasema the right thing at the wrong time. Wengine pia the wrong thing at the wrong time. Communication is critical. And when it comes to communicating difficult things, can I give you a tip? I read this from a book called Relationship Principles of Jesus by a guy. You want to communicate difficult things, remember this. Truth plus tact plus timing. Are we together? Truth plus tact plus timing. You've got to know the truth, but have the right tact and the right say the truth. I'll give you an example. One day we were called into school for our son. And of course he knew there was an issue. And when we left the meeting, it was a Saturday. Our son really wanted to know what we were told. I didn't tell him. We went from Strathmore, we went to Lavington Shopping Center, entered Charandarana. It was a hot day like this. I bought 2 cold Cokes. Got into the car. I gave him his Coke. He was very delighted. I took mine. We were taking it on our way home. Looking at me wondering, will I ever tell him what was discussed? I did not. Why? Wrong timing. His heart was like this. Hakuna kitu ungesema. Until 2 weeks later, the right time was there and I was to speak. Don't be in a hurry when there's no right timing. How do you prepare your child to navigate diverse social environments? We say this in parenting, what your child should learn at home in love. If we don't teach them at home in love, whether tough life, love or otherwise, the world can actually. So the home is where you teach them social environments. And social environments it's just social graces. Teaching people to open doors for each other, you know, helping so and so, but you have to be the example. Remember, it's monkey see, monkey do. I was upstairs watching an EPL game, my friends, and my daughter Joy says, Dad, I'm thirsty, can you get me a glass of water? Nikafikiria, huyu mtoto ni wa nani? You know, whose child is this? We were never like that. It was the other way around. And within myself, I felt some conviction. I went downstairs and got her a glass of water, showing that you can serve. I'd like to ask the men in this room, how many of you wash dishes? Huh? My wife the other day left a book here at the gate of, they do their BSF study here in this church. And she asked me, Dad, where are you? And she said, hey, do me a favor. There's a book that I need picked up at Loresho. And one of her BSF leaders had left it at the gate for our daughter. And that leader was so amused that I am the one who was speaking the book. She was saying, I need to speak to more men to be able to learn how to serve. What's big in that? Man, what is big in washing dishes? What's big in eating your plate, your food, and taking it to the sink? And if there's no house help, what's big in cleaning it? It's gone quiet, eh? Huh? But what are you teaching? Social graces. Because if you don't teach our guys that, what happens? They go out into the world and people are taking turns doing things because they live with each other. This guy doesn't even know how to wash dishes. You think he'll be liked? People will be saying, "Who's to see Mzuri?" He never helps us. But it's not that he's not helping because he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Social environment, we begin at home. And then also, please, a listening ear to what you're told by other people where your children go. If you're taking your child for soccer, what does the coach say? If it is school, what are the teachers saying? If it's class, what are they saying? Get that feedback and use it. Okay. Moving away from punishment to more effective ways of guiding. There's a certain time and types, and we have a course we do in parenting, and it tells you what kinds of discipline to apply for certain ages. There's an age that reaches that you don't need to spank. They're beyond spanking. It's just communicating and denying them of certain privileges and rights. So you have to learn that, the timings. There's a lot of questions I have to move quickly. Emotional intelligence, helping children express feelings, manage frustration, and build empathy. Emotional intelligence is critical today. They used to say that IQ was high, isn't it? A while back. IQ yake. Today, what do you need for IQ for if you can Google? And if you have AI? The other day I told AI, please write me a letter of complaint to the registrar of companies because this company that is not ends the letter. Do I need how to read English? Eh? So I eventually had to have passion quotient added to it. Okay? So it became IQ plus PQ stuff. Then now, apart from that, we had quotient. Then we had to add social quotient for someone to be successful. So IQ is also trained at home. Knowing when to say, what to say, how to say it. Knowing how to treat people. Knowing how to be sensitive to people. It's taught at home. Sawa. Bullying awareness and prevention, helping young children recognize unkind behaviors early, empowering parents them positively. When your child knows that the parent is there as backup, it's very difficult to be bullied. But when the child knows you, they're not sure. They don't even know when you're coming home. They will be bullied by everything. And bullies, it's just asserting their strength, and they feel nice that they're powerful. But when your child knows, in case theirs fails, they have dad as backup. One day in the backyard, they were just basking in the backyard, and some boys passed by, and one of them said something nasty about her. You know what I did? I went to each boy's house. Each boy's house. And I almost got physical in some houses. I did not care. One particular parent was nice. He even told the boy, let's go, we are going back to their house. And he has raised good boys. Joy was telling us the other day, they have a high school and her she's in junior high school. And there's a place they went to sit on a bench. She carries food. She doesn't eat school food because she eats food in the morning after swimming and then takes a snack at break and then some little more food. So she carries. And so she went and sat at the bench, and a Form 4 came and said, we sit at that bench. You know what she told us what she did? She just opened her flask and looked at her and carried on eating. Because she knew this is a school bench. So it's just teaching our children assertiveness. Teach them how to be assertive, yeah? And when they give you reports, tell them to be assertive. And always tell them, if anyone bullies you, come and tell me. Then the other thing, what values do you will matter most for your children to thrive in tomorrow's world? how can we nurture them at home and school? When you're reading a CV or job advert and they have certain qualities, they sound like some of them, they should have been taught at home. You know, works without supervision. Where does that start? At home, that you can tell your kids, remember to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and go out and you come back and they did it. Or you can come back later in the evening and you find the curtains have been drawn without asking. A lot of these things are from home. So whatever you envision that they can do, you can teach that at home. The school can only do as much, by the way, because there are many children, by the way. Are we together? Okay. And I think perhaps that's one of the last. In a world driven by technology, how do we help children use it responsibly while developing strong human connections? Technology is critical. Mwalimu, if given time, I would wish to have a whole topic on digital discipline. And I honestly can't even start now, but it's critical. Technology is like fire. You use fire well, it becomes a good servant. You use it badly, it becomes a bad master. Some of the greatest people today have used technology well. This guy who is a javelin guy called Yegon, how did he learn javelin? YouTube. And we can teach our kids those positive things. I've seen our kids, many parents are even scared. What are they doing on, no, if you teach them the right way to use that fire, they will do right. In fact, there was a time I saw our son, he's a good pianist, how he was playing piano. He would go on YouTube and do things. Myself, in playing saxophone, I asked the guy in church, how did you become good? He told me, YouTube School of Music. And I thought, duh. And that's what I do. So we use it well. Time has gone when, the church used to hate internet. They would say it's even evil. And COVID happened. And now we had to do services online. But how, again, human connections, we teach them to put away those gadgets. But remember, it's monkey see, monkey. Do you put away the gadgets yourself? Some of us struggle a lot. I realize there are some things you can do to put away the gadgets and just be with each other. We do jigsaw puzzles in our house, and we've done a number and framed them and put them on the wall. I discovered another coloring book for adults. Lovely. I went and bought coloring pencils, and my kids look at me. But I color, and that way I'm in my own world, and we can talk. Human connections. My wife moved the TV from the sitting room. She took it upstairs so that while we are having dinner, nobody's watching anything. We have a policy in the house, you don't come to the dinner table with your phone. And we have a policy to keep it away. Why? Human. Time I wish to just come and speak about that digital discipline, because it's an area we need help. How can we help our children to be responsible around internet use, that they may use it positively? And you can even, as a parent, give them some homework. I told you how our daughter, I was Googling yesterday and came up with a nice swimming movie, and it was so nice and motivating about Michael Phelps. How do you support a child who's depressed following separation of parents? Depression on children is critical. For starters, parents, let me tell you this. If you're two parents, for some reason you're going through domain, please don't bring it on the kids. Just do your best to manage that for the sake of the children. Okay? But where the parents have not separated, I must say this to the separated, please keep the children out of your squabbles. And don't talk negative about this parent. No. In fact, look for the positives. A mother who's raising 3 children very well. The man occasionally comes, he provides, and she actually one day rebuked one of the kids talking. The kid was just frustrated and said, "Dad, you what?" And she said, "He's your father no matter what, honor." But when the kids have gotten into depression, I do recommend that you can see a psychologist. They're child psychologists, and they can handle that. Don't throw it away. And even you, a parent, if you need therapy, please go for therapy. Especially men. Hello? Men don't go for therapy until one time they are found dead. They've committed suicide. Women are very good at therapy, even with each other. In fact, you walk and find women crying and you don't know who has the problem. Because the one who had the problem was, and the other one came and cried with her and they cry. Naina talker. It's therapy, isn't it? No wonder they live longer than us men. Men, let's work hard. We look for each other. When you hear that those men's meetings, we have one men's meeting in our church. It's just eating goat with each other and snacks a Saturday afternoon, just talking with each other. The problem men, you know how they were taught. Mwanaume aliangi. Kangumu. Some even circumcise their boys without anesthesia. Just to be a tough guy. So he'll never cry. He thinks tears are not for men. Me, I cry, guys. I told you when our daughter, it hit me, I sobbed. But I felt nice afterwards. And share your problems. In fact, when you have a problem, look for a guy who you can talk to. And just say, hey, I'm going through, because we're all going through the same things. Women are good at that. Am I saying anything, men? Don't think it's weak to cry. Yeah, cry. Depressed children, how do you pivot children to become critical thinkers? Don't think for them. Don't think for them. They ask you a question, you ask them, what do you think? Then they'll be like, is it? Yeah, you ask them, think harder. Is it? That's how you develop the thinking. Teach them how to, and then don't micromanage them all the time. As they grow older, and as they grow older, give them age-appropriate jobs. Is what? She can read and write. Why are you doing the shopping list and you're overwhelmed? Do you hear that question? What do I do when I feel over? You're writing the shopping list, and there's someone who's been taught you paid school fees. You might as well start having a return on your investment. Return on investment. Toto, Mama, we are going for shopping. Write the things we need. How do I write? Sometimes they might not. I say, whatever you write, that's your problem. She will go look for a pen and a paper and open the pantry and see flour. Even if she will write flour as F-L-O-W-E-R, you will understand it's flour, unga. Then you correct it. In the process, you're teaching her skills, isn't it? She'll write all those. Then you say, okay, fine, let's go. Sometimes you even tell them, we only have so much money. Just balance it. They go, they pick, they are minusing. What are they doing? Math skills, mathematics. That is how you teach them to be critical thinkers. How do you take care of your child's emotionally needs when parents are separated? It's kind of like that one. So I'll skip that. How can you successfully manage the transition from childhood to teenage? Very good question. We do have talks on children from ages 0 to 12. Let me tell you, ages 13 to 18, those teenagers it's different how you parent them. Please find a talk on that or courses. The Baptist is doing parenting, and they're not even parenting for teenagers. Because if you don't understand your teenager, you'll wonder, they used to be nice, now they're different. And it's not the teenager who has the problem. Guess who has the problem? It is you. Because you're treating them like they're 6 years old and they're 13. They even know some things better than you. I'm telling you, they are more informed than you are in certain areas. So you learn to have conversation. What are the appropriate ways to teach them? It's by just showing it and correcting, having consequences for not doing certain things. Simple. You model it. Parents, You want your kids to keep time, you keep time. You want them to read, you read. Social graces, you want them to take the plates to the kitchen, who does that? You all do the same. You want them to work in the house, you have to work in the house. Hello? You model it. How do you encourage independence? Just show them independent. And show them how to learn to be by themselves. Show them how to enjoy their own company and not always looking for people. But more than that, when they are busy, they are focused on their goals and you're affirming them, they become even more independent. Our daughter Joy has minimal time to go out with the other teenagers. The other teenagers are out sometimes even up to 9 in the night, walking out. Some girls, how do you let your girls walk out at 9? You don't know where they are at night. Nafisi ni wengi. Hello? And when things happen, who will you blame? Because I used to complain in our WhatsApp group and no one is saying anything. One day I walked somewhere and realized, there are very few cars in the estate. It's because these parents are out doing their own things. Parents, I want to appreciate you and your time, and I will put it back to Mwalimu. I think we've handled most of the questions. I am available. You can take my number, 0710, in case you want to communicate, 0710 714 0710 714 or 0736 714 That's my official number. In case I don't answer immediately, you can text or leave a message, because I rarely look at it unless I'm in the office or it's office time. 0710 714 or 0736 714 I just want to thank you for the time that we've had together. I want to pray that your children will give you pleasure. Very few people agreed with that here. I pray that your children will give you pleasure. Children will do so well in community. They're the ones who will be getting scholarships and all because I've raised them well. To work, they will get jobs. Hello? Because people have seen them. Our daughter, our second-born daughter, Dean Tamak, she already had her job when she was in second year, uni. A neighbor spotted her and said, when you're on holiday, come. And when she went, she was working well. She kept time. They said, when you finish uni, come. Huh? On top of it, she has languages. She has French. And now see how hard she's worked. She didn't tarmac like people are tarmac. Your kids will be marked well. So please just put this, remember, in my parting shot. Invest in and just be there for them. It's actually a little while to be gone. Can I pray for these parents? Can I pray for you guys? I sense strongly to do that. God, I just want to thank you for this institution of Pearl Hearts. I thank you for the parents. I thank you for what we've shared with each other. To be honest, some of these things we cannot do in our own ability. And so I'm asking that you may strengthen us. I pray that you may remove any distraction, human or otherwise, from our lives. That we will be so focused in raising up our children because you've blessed us with them, that we may become such good stewards of our children. And more than that, I pray that we may enjoy their relationship, that we will have good relationships with our children. If there be any relationship that has issues, parent-child, I just ask for amending where that's concerned. And God, I pray that you provide for these parents that they will not lack anything. The economy may seem tight, but at the end of it all, you are still God. And so provide for them school fees, provide for them extracurricular monies, even just household needs, everyone. Provide for them, I pray. And I thank you for them in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Mwalimu.